Radio show live here on KCOH TV Radio, The Boost in Houston, Texas. And I'm your host, Rutledge, and I cannot wait for the show to start because spending Tuesday mornings with you is a highlight of my week. And if you're listening or watching on one of my pages, be sure to give StreamYard permission so I can see your name and I can see your comments. And let me know where you're tuning in from so I can give you a shout out on the air. I know we have a global audience, and I want to acknowledge you for taking the time to listen to me. For those of you in my time zone, and for those of you who are way out of it. I also want to welcome your questions and your comments. Now, I got to run so I can get ready. See you soon. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It is Tuesday, March 14th, 2023. I am Laurel Rutledge, your host of the Rutledge Perspective Radio Show live here on KCOH TV Global Network, The Boost in Houston, Texas, on the corner of Alameda and Wichita with our lovely window on the corner, window to the world on the corner. And I'm so excited to be here. I'm always excited to be here because, I just am. I just love being here with y'all. And today we're going to be talking about taking action. We're going to be talking about taking action today. So welcome to all of you around the world. Welcome to those of you on YouTube, those of you tuning in on Facebook, my page and the KCOH page and Jerry P. Beasley's page. Thank to those of you who are tuning in on LinkedIn. So really appreciate all of you who are taking the time to be here today with me as we talk about this whole idea of action, because it is action month, third month of the quarter, action month, right? Alignment, vision, action. We start out with alignment. We clarify our vision, then we move into action. So every quarter, you got the three pieces, right? Alignment, vision, action, AVA. So a few things. We do have some votes that are coming up. So Montenegro, you're going to be voting on the 19th. And then next week, Florida, Louisiana, and Georgia, y'all have some special elections coming up. So those things are going to be happening. Make sure you go get registered. Make sure you're ready. Make sure you've been paying attention and that you've got everything done on time. Make sure you're still on the rolls, all the good stuff that I keep telling y'all, that I'm going to keep telling y'all. Because look, here in the U.S., it's already started, y'all. Folks are already throwing their hat in the ring. All of the rhetoric has already started, which makes sense. I mean, it is March of 2023. We'll be voting in 2024, the big, quote unquote, big votes, right, in 2024. So it's that time. It's that time. So we all need to put our big pants on. We need to put our ears on. We need to keep our brains plugged in to be wading through the mess, wading through the rhetoric, right? We've already seen now all the data, all the stuff that adults knew about what was going on at that one news station. And I call it news lightly, news station. What was really going on behind the scenes and people knowing that they were saying stuff that wasn't true. We're all hearing that now, right? So your vote matters. Elections have consequences. And so really start paying attention. Really start paying attention to the rhetoric that you're hearing. Who's saying what? Where have their votes been? When have they been contradictory? Just start really paying attention with your eyes, your ears, right? Keep your mind open. Really listen to what people are saying and what they're not saying. Watch behavior, because people will listen to what you say. They will believe what you do. So just pay attention. Pay attention, because that is coming. Okay. So my 30-day shifting your perspective thing is done. So I've got the videos done. And my amazing Jenny is now making them look all good and make sense. So that 30-day will be up soon. So you'll be able to get your hands on that. 30 days to shift your perspective. It's just 30 short, sweet videos. You get one a day, right? Just to really rethink your perspective so that by the end of the 30 days, you've really got another shift, right? So, and yes, somebody said, it's 30 days. Oh my God, that's a long time. And it's true. It is a long time. But it takes 30 days to shift a habit, right? So, but they're short and sweet. 1 minute to 2 minutes. They're not long at all. I think there's one that's 3 minutes because I'm telling you a story in that one. But that's going to be coming your way. Also, as I've been telling you, the other new services, the website refresh is happening. So that's coming. And this is website refresh 1. Because I've got to get some new photos and things, and that's not happening until the fall. So that's my birthday gift to me, is to go do a really great photo shoot. So that is happening in September, but we're going to do the refresh and the relaunch. And with that is also going to be the ability to come talk to me about this founders intensive. That's a full day with me. So that you multi seven figure business owners who are really ready to take action, if you're really ready, if you're ready to work, then we'll get together and see if it makes some sense, because it is a full day. That's a deep dive into your business to ensure that your business strategy and your people strategy are aligned and make some sense, right? Because you can't have one without the other. And so we're going to go all the way back to why you started in the first place, what's going on now. Generally, what I see is the issues start happening at around 20 people, depending on your personality as a founder, around 20 to 30 people, right? Anywhere from 15 to 30. When you can no longer, as CEO, be in everybody's business, right? You can't know everything about everybody. You can't be accessible to everybody, but you have been as you built it. And that begins to kind of stir up some things, along with, how clear are your strategies? How clear are your processes when you get that big? You've got to be clear on those things. And so it's a full day dedicated to you and your business. If you want to bring your COO, that's okay. But I really like it to be you as the founder, really taking through your business. And you come here to Houston, we got a great place that we're going to get in. We'll have some coffee and some breakfast, and we'll have a great lunch. And we're going to spend all day diving into your business, and you will leave with an action plan, and there'll be some follow-ups with me to make sure you're moving forward. Follow-ups, make sure that you're moving forward on the plan that we created, not follow up for the purposes of upsell, because that's not what I do. Then if you want more work from me, great, but it will be just because we've worked really well together and I can be of service to you. It won't be because I'm pushing something on you. And then the group. So if there are some newer founders who are interested in doing a group, y'all will just need to let me know, because right now the group is really focused on new executives. So that'll be coming your way as well. And it is going to be a program. It's a 3-month program. And then you have the option to stay in just in community, but it's a 3-month program. Really is it's a combination of mentoring, advising, coaching, although you'll know how I feel about that word, for new senior executives, right? It's about that whole navigation. That's what I call them, your chief navigation officer, right? It's how you navigate your new space as a senior executive in your organization, because your world just changed. So if you're new into that senior executive ranks, whether that is new to C-suite or new direct report to a C-suite, big P&L, big teams, that kind of stuff, where things have really changed, that's what's going to be for you. So look for those things coming up in the next few weeks. So you'll be able to get in touch with me and join into there. And as I said before, and I need to be clear, right? It's not unkind to be clear. I need to be clear. When I said I'm not limiting it, right? So you're not going to have this scarcity sale from me. Let me be clear. I'm not limiting it. As many people as want to be in the community, right, can be in the community. The cohorts, I'd really like to keep around 10 to 12, only because I do want to be able to have a greater level of direct access to people, and then they have direct access to me, right? So if there's, thousands of people in that one cohort, when we're trying to advise and coach, it's just more difficult to have some of that direct, interaction. And there will be a VIP option because and I'll probably call it something else. Oh, it's my Pearl option. It's not VIP, because y'all know how words matter to me. It's Pearl. It's a Pearl option. It is just a few little extras. So we're going to do that. And that's for those of you who are senior executives. But if there are some founders who are looking for that kind of support as well, just let me know. Send me a DM, reach out to me an email. You can find all my contact information on my website. My website is still up. I'm just going to do the refresh later on. We'll do a big launch on that. But just let me know if that's something that you'd be interested in a group thing just for founders of organizations, entrepreneurs. Let me know. Let me know, because that's I will consider that. If there's enough interest, then I will consider putting that together. All right. So let's talk about action. Let's talk about action today. It is March. There's been so much going on. And so one of the things that I do well is stay really attuned to me, really aware of me, the good and the bad, the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? If I know anything, I know me, and I know where my crazy is, as they say, right? And there's nothing like becoming a founder of a business to bring all of that stuff to the forefront. We've talked about that, right? And so as I'm making this move into what has been 6 years in the making, right? The journey of 6 years in the making. It is still, there are still days that are a challenge, right? And they say when you get closer to where you're supposed to be, the harder it gets. I have to stand in that, y'all, because there are some days I'm like, really, Lord, really? Because see, I don't want to be in the trial and tribulation group. I want to be in the appointed time group, right? Can I disconnect myself from the trials and tribulations group? Because I think I learned that one. And so, but the closer you get to where you're really supposed to be, the more difficult it gets, right? And it's even more difficult if you are multi-passionate like I am, which is such a nice word. It's a nicer word than me saying my brain is just messy. When you're multi-passionate, when there's so many things that you are interested in, that you want to do and that you want to deliver to people, it makes it a little bit of a challenge to get some things done. You also sometimes don't realize that while you are clear in your head and you are having discussions, you may not be as clear as you think you are with people who are supporting you, right? Because you're moving, at least I am, right? My brain moves. So for those of you who are founders and entrepreneurs, you know where you're going, you know what you want to have happen, but are you having the conversation with the people that are around you? So, pardon me, so that you can actually take action, and so can they. And this month is all about taking action. And if you haven't been clear on the vision, then the action that you're taking may not get you where you think you want to be. Or you may be paying people to take action that is not the action that's actually needed. And then you'll be surprised or upset when things don't turn out the way you want them to turn out. Right? So I am, as I said, I'm launching, right, this new site, and I'm so excited about it. It's going to be, it's going to be not only aesthetically pleasing, but it's just going to be clearer. And part of this renewal. So for those of you who are entrepreneurs and are going on your third business, the serial entrepreneur, right? Going on your third business, or actually just starting your first one, and you keep coming up with things that are like, no, this is what I want to do, but maybe I'll do it like this, or maybe I'll do it like that, and you got a lot of people in your ear, and you're just trying to figure out what to do. One, give yourself some grace, because sometimes it takes a while to get the right people around you. It can take a while to get the right people around you, especially when you are looking for people to fill the gaps in your genius, right? It's sometimes difficult to peel the layers back to really understand who you're getting and if they're really going to be able to fulfill the need that you have, right? And so this has been 6 years in the making for me. And I've had some really interesting engagements that just didn't work. I've had some people just completely lay down on me, several, in fact. And then I've gotten to the place where I've got some people who are in their zone of genius that's not mine, right? That I trust, and I trust because they demonstrate their ability to deliver. Because at the end of the day, it's about delivering, right? Delivering against the expectations and the quality and all that kind of stuff. And so, you know, as I was poring over some things yesterday and having a couple of meetings with my person that's doing the branding refresh, or the website refresh, when you're thinking about taking, so here's what came up, and it ties into taking action, which is, if you are an entrepreneur and or a senior executive, you likely move fairly quickly. Your brain moves quickly, your thought processes move quickly. You know, the speed of action is probably pretty high compared to others, right? You just move into action. And I tend to move quickly once I'm ready, right? I may take some time to really delve into a decision, but once I'm done, it's time to move. And because I've been doing things for such a long time, I am very quick to understand when I need to slow down and really evaluate versus when I need to just move, right? Slow and precise versus quick and approximate. So I'm getting ready to do this website refresh. It has been something that's sticking in my craw for a year and a half. I've been talking about it for a year and a half. And finally, I'm like, you know what? It is time to just redo that. I can't stand it. It is no longer reflective of who I am and where I'm going. So I hired somebody who's exceptional. Like, I just need a brand refresh, right? I don't need new colors. I don't need new logo. I don't need any of that. I need a website refresh. This is what I said. I need a website refresh. And so we get started doing that kind of stuff. And as I'm doing it, I'm also solidifying, right, the offerings, getting everything ready. And, you know, I've put some pages behind the scenes so you guys don't see the Ava stuff anymore on my website and that kind of stuff right now, because the services are getting cleaner and clearer, much more streamlined, all of that. So all that stuff is still there, but it's hidden. And so I gave that stuff to this person to say, hey, here's, just so you know, here's what was done before. You know, this is really good copy, blah, 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 blah. But what I need help with is to make sure the copy is there, because I am not a salesperson per se, right? I'm not a marketer. I am not a branding person, although I'm paying attention to my brand, right? I always show up as me, but I'm just not that person. What I recognize is inconsistency. And I even see inconsistency in my brand, right, on the different platforms, because I was using them for different reasons. But it can lead to confusion in the marketplace. So I recognize all of this. And part of it's timing. We only have so many hours in a day, so you got to figure out what you're going to do. But part of it is, you know, is sequencing. And the other part of it is finding people whose genius that is, so you can utilize that, and understanding which decisions you're making for the use of your time that are valuable for you, and the issue of working on your business versus in your business. So as I started taking action and was having this website refresh done, I realized I started having these conversations and having these expectations in my mind about, why is it taking so long? What about the website copy? Yes, of course we need to have sales pages, and no, they're going to be in this other place. They're not going to be there, and WordPress and blah, 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 blah. So I had a conversation with the person yesterday, and I was like, okay, I'm confused, right? I'm just really confused. And she was confused too. Actually, she was not confused. I was confused. And why was I confused? Because my expectations had changed, because I was just moving. I'm so used to having kind of this right hand that we just get it done, that I had changed the scope, right? The thing that I always tell you guys, be careful when you're doing project management. The biggest thing that creates projects is scope creep. I had inadvertently changed the scope on this person. While I knew what I wanted the scope to be, that was not what I had said when I hired this person. I hired them for a certain scope, even though what I meant was something different, right? And that's important as entrepreneurs. You got to really understand, what are you asking people to do? What are you paying them to do? And what is the scope of expectations for that work? So that when you are managing the work and the expectations and understanding and managing your own agita around everything that's going on, you have not inadvertently changed scope for someone you're relying on to get some work done for you. And that's what I had done. Unknowingly, from the standpoint of, I knew what I meant, it's just not what I said, right? And it's not unkind to be clear. I work by myself so much, and I spend so much time by myself. One, because I'm an introvert, but also because I just do, that I'd had all these conversations with me, but I hadn't had them with her, right? And so we had this long conversation yesterday, got really clear on what's going on. What it also did was made me rethink and have to pause and redraw. Remember last week I was talking about write it down and make it clear. The ultimate outcome is very, very clear. I had to go back, and I'm still going back, to realign and clarify the pieces and the journey, right? The wire, the box and wire, as they call it, right? The diagram of what this is going to be. And as leaders and as entrepreneurs, it is critical to be clear on that box and wire, right? What are the pieces, so that you can take action. And when action is taken, it is the right action. Because, and what drew this today, if we're talking about action, is as I looked at all of those pieces and started thinking, I am back to working every weekend. Every weekend, I've got a pile of things to do every weekend. That is not why I became an entrepreneur. Now, we all know that when you're about to launch something or you're changing something new, of course, you're going to have all that extra stuff. That's not what I'm talking about. It has become like a regular thing that weekends are packed. And that is not the lifestyle I want to create for myself at all, right? That is not the lifestyle I want to have. And because there are so many hours, there are only so many hours in the day, and there are so many things I'm passionate about, right? That multi-passionate. What it means is there are things that I am unable or have not been able to really dive into and tackle the way I want to tackle for my own continuous development so that I can continue to serve you guys with excellence, right? And expertise. So for my own continued development, but also for my own enjoyment and for life, right? Those golf lessons, those language lessons, although I've been on, Jerry said, hurry up. Those language lessons, although I've been doing my Duolingo every day. So I'm really excited about that. And it's so refreshing for my brain, right? But there's some stuff that I really want to do that pushes my business forward, pushes me forward in terms of the gain of knowledge and perspective and all of these things that I bring to you through my expertise that seem to keep falling off the list. As my therapist reminded me yesterday, she's like, you know what? Here's the thing. She said, here's the question I have for you. There's only so many hours in the day. So is it really that you're not getting enough stuff done, or have you put so much stuff on the list that it's not possible to get it done in 24 hours? And I'm like, okay, well, there's an expectation conversation that I probably need to have with myself too, right? So if you're going to be taking action, what action are you taking in the time that's allotted? Are you prioritizing your action based on the outcomes that you are anticipating and expecting, right? What is it? What is it that you are trying to do and trying to make happen? And that action that you're taking that's going to get you there, right? Because often we just start doing stuff, just do something, right? That whole just launch ugly, right? And I get that, because for those of us who are perfectionists, right, and want it to be perfect, you can keep tweaking and it'll be 4 years down the road and you've never even done the first webinar, right? So I get the push to just launch ugly, just put it out there, get the feedback and keep moving. I get that. And there's a lot of that method that is totally tied to who you are too, right? You need to be aware enough to know if it's perfectionism that you're battling, and so you need to, just go do it. Or if there's truly some things that you need to finish before, getting done. Only you know that boundary and that line and where you need to push yourself. So I take some of these things, you got to put some of these things in context. That launch ugly, you got to put some of these things in context. But the action you take, because time is not renewable. We only have so much time and we don't know how much we're going to have. What actions are you taking and how are they related to the things you have written down and made plain? The actions you take are the seeds that you are sowing for the harvest you want to reap, right? Leadership lessons from the garden, because it's that time, right? So we're all planting again. And depending on the seeds that you are planting, right, those seeds will reap the harvest that you're saying. Why would I plant, cabbage when I want cucumbers? The action I took, yes, that's planting. Absolutely. I planted some seeds, but I planted cabbage and my expectation was cucumbers. So was my planting wrong or were my expectations wrong? What are you doing? What action are you taking that moves you towards the outcome that you want? How are you managing your own expectations? How are you managing your own action to ensure that the action aligns with your ultimate goal? And then are you being clear with the people around you who are supposed to support you doing that, right? I know I do not want W-2 employees. I just do not. I also know that some of the structure that I have in place right now is limited by the hours in the day that I can do some things, right? That's the thing about being a solopreneur. You are limited by the amount of work that you solo can do. That's why they talk about doing one-to-one things versus doing one-to-many. And having that conversation with yourself around your business is a critical piece to scaling. It's not just about adding team, right? It's not. That's a potential action of the real work, which is, who am I and what am I trying to do? What kind of impact am I trying to make? And then what actions do I take to make that impact? Sometimes that's adding people. Sometimes that's buying services from experts. I mean, that's my teaming model, is to get services contracted from experts. That's my model, right? Because I don't want to deal with W-2 employees, at least not right now. That's not what I want to do. Might I in the future? Yeah, probably. But right now, that's not what I want to do, especially as you're having to be much more agile. See, that's what people don't tell you. That's why I love this founder intensive, is a lot of times people don't tell you as you're building your business is that your flexibility and adaptability is somewhat hampered when you start adding W-2 employees. There are compliance requirements, right? There are communication requirements. There are taxing requirements. There are things you have to do in order to make that relationship work, especially if you want to dissolve the relationship. There are things that need to happen to do that in a way that's the least risk possible to you, right? So that action can dampen or hinder your ability to be more flexible and adaptable. Whereas if you're contracting with somebody and something doesn't happen, you give your notice and you're done, right? As of 30 days, we're no longer doing business together, or whatever the contract says, right? Those are the kind of things that you need to pay attention to as you're beginning to build your business, or as you are building your team in an organization. That's why in an organization, as you are a senior leader and you're starting to hire managers on your team or promote people on your team, building up your team, you got to pay attention to who you're hiring. Hire slow, fire fast. Hire slow, fire fast. And that sounds callous, right? It's not. I didn't say hire without compassion or fire without compassion, because you're still impacting someone's life. What I'm saying is that move needs to be speedy, because the consequences of keeping around a won't or even a can't is significant to your ability to uplift and guide and lead the team that you have in place when there's someone on that team that is completely detrimental. You've got to be willing to fire fast. But in order to do that, you've also got to recognize what expectations you've set, what skills you have, what skills you don't have. You've got to be clear on those expectations, and you have got to take the appropriate action based on that. And sometimes that is going back and resetting expectations because you didn't do it right in the first place. That's what I found, right? The first action I had to take was to really have this meeting that got clarity, because there was confusion, right? There was confusion, and confusion leads to frustration, and frustration leads to conversations that you really don't want to have because you're using words you really don't want to use and can't take back, because words once spoken can't be retrieved. So the action I had to take was to reset and to clarify, right? If you think about getting really aligned with who you are and where you are, clarifying your vision, and then moving into empowered action, yes, it's a three-pronged process, but it is iterative, right? You are constantly going back to, yep, this is absolutely aligned with who I am. You're constantly evaluating, oh, that didn't feel good. Is that misaligned? Oh, I'm being asked to do this thing. Does this align? You're constantly reviewing what you're doing against who you are, right? And what you believe. You are constantly reviewing that vision. This is the vision that I have. Does that still work? Does that still feel right? Absolutely, it does. Am I there yet? Nope. But here's the things I'm going to do because they lead me to the vision, right? You're constantly evaluating what it is you want. And then the actions you take, that's where you're doing the most postmortems. Here's what I'm doing. Did that work? Did that not work? What do I need to do different? Or what do I need to continue to do because that got me where I needed to be? It's a continual process. It's an iterative process if you are building anything, right? And whether you're building a business or you're building a career, it's still all about strategy and people. Those are the fundamentals, right? Those are the building blocks of a great business and a great career. A clear business strategy and a clear organizational or people strategy. And you can't have one without the other. And in order to have those, you have to take action to build them, right? You have to take action to get aligned with who you are and to clarify your vision. And then you have to take action to make that vision come to pass. And you have to be willing to get the people around you, including those who have expertise that you don't have. You have to be willing to take action to find them and get them around you and pay them for their expertise that they are building to you, right? You got to be making decisions, those, as Rachel Rogers calls them, those $1 million decisions. Sometimes you got to spend money to make money. Now, you don't want to be frivolous. You don't want to be not mindful of your spend and what you're doing. You want to be a good steward of your resources being time, energy, and money. You want to be good stewards of your resources. However, sometimes you've got to understand what you're trading in the now for what you expect to get over time. What is your return on investment? And what is the expected time frame of that return? And that is one of the most difficult things to think about, especially as founders and business owners. What is the return that I expect, and when do I expect that return to happen? Especially if you are struggling in your business, right? And you really need that return. If you are in desperation mode, you will make desperation-led decisions. And those desperation-led decisions aren't necessarily decisions that are going to move you forward where you want to be. Just a thought, right? So it's important when we're taking action to understand fundamentally who we are and how that action that we're taking is or is not going to move us forward. And we're going to do some shout outs here in just a minute. You know, as I was having this conversation with myself yesterday and even talking to my therapist yesterday, I was like, you know, what's showing up in all of this for me is the fundamental way that I am wired, right? Not only how I'm wired intrinsically, but also fundamentally how my experiences have shaped. And it's the same for you. How you respond to things is a function of who you are, but also your experiences, right? And that narrative, we talked about that. What is that? What do those experiences tell you? What is the narrative you created around those experiences? And so one of the things that is fundamentally right about me and why I can recognize it in others and help people navigate through that is I am absolutely multi-passionate. Absolutely. There's so much stuff I love, so many things I want to do, so many places I want to be. I mean, it is all over the place, right? And I don't tend to have a lot of fear. Fear is not my word. Doubt is a word, but fear is not my word. But doubt is a killer. Doubt is a killer. And y'all have heard my mantra, right? In this moment, you are enough, right? Trust yourself. In this moment, you are enough. In this moment, you have everything you need, right? Trust yourself. And that doubt issue is a real deal. It's a real deal. And so if you know and are constantly working on who you are and being clear in who you are, you can understand how whatever that narrative is that's playing in your head that may or may not be true is impacting the actions you have to take to make the impact you want to make against the vision that you have, right? It all lines up. It all lines up. All right, let's take a quick break and do some shout outs.
Okay, you got Argentina, Brazil, Netherlands, Japan, Canada, France, Mexico, Germany, Cancun.
I love it.
Dublin, St. Louis, Montreal.
Oh, Montreal.
Frankfurt, Helsinki, in big numbers, San Diego, New York, Los Angeles, Atlanta, Raleigh, Chicago, Dallas, Fort Worth, Kansas City, Washington, D.C., and Houston.
I love it. Thank y'all so much for being here. Y'all, I just got to tell you, Jerry is all duded up today. She is. She is. Let me tell you, she's going to be making some things happen today because she's got her power colors on today. And that's also about taking action, right? I know my mom used to always tell me, when you don't feel your best, make an extra. Good morning, Mama Young. So we got Odessa in the house. When you don't feel your best, you need to make an extra effort to look good. Otherwise, you're going to look like you feel.
Can I say this? What
Yes.
you just said about taking action?
Yeah.
I was in there in the other room doing some work and listening. But when you said, okay, when you're ready and you're visionary and you're ready to take action, you're ready to go,
Yeah.
you're ready to move. And so when you and I were talking before the show, I was telling you what I was going to
Yeah.
say. We're not going to talk
No.
about it. But I said something one day, you gave this look like, ooh, and I'm like, oh, girl, I'm going to take action. Don't do that.
Right.
But let me tell you what I did do when I went in there.
Yeah.
I said, I did find another way I could work that.
Yeah.
That it would be good. And I'm like, that was a point there. But in your moment of wanting to take action as a leader, and it's been a while.
Yes.
And now you've got that traction and you're ready to move.
Yes.
You're so panicky, like you're not panicking, but you don't want to miss the opportunity.
Yes.
And you're ready to go. Now you don't want no stops, you don't want no clarity.
Right.
Because I was gonna just pop you and I said, oh, right. I hear that right now. But while I was in there, I just kept looking in there, I'm like, that's a thought. That could go this way. So I'll give you that. I took that from you. I didn't
You know, it's so funny because let me tell you something. So quick sidebar. This station is amazing and it's got incredible history, right? It is something to behold, and there is a spirit and an energy in this place that is indescribable if you haven't been here, right? It's just amazing. And Jerry P. Beasley has had such a vision for this place and has been so like dedicated and focused and mindful of that vision, but also open to the timing of the vision, the placement of the vision, shifting of the vision. I mean, there was a time we got this big TV. You guys have seen it, the big TV with the KCOH. Her initial vision was that's going to be on the screen. It's going to be like a TV to the world, all that kind of stuff. Well, that didn't work just because of the way the station is structured.
Right.
But you don't just throw the TV out, right? So now we got this great thing. And when people come in, we got the fish, we got the, you use what you have in a different manner when it is the overarching vision that remains the same as opposed to always the details. The details may change, right? It's as I've told you guys before, by being really clear on your vision, you can see challenges or hurdles or changes as redirection, not as failure or as a sign that where you're going is not the right place, right? It's just like if you're on your career, is this a true derailer or is this just a side trip, right? Is this just a quick detour? That's what's important, because when you are taking action, your action is going to have consequences. And if you can evaluate those consequences, they can inform the next action, right? You've got to be willing to keep a real clear, they say eyes on the prize, keep a real clear focus on the vision, on the what, and be flexible in the how. How am I going to get it done? Am I going to hire people? I'm not going to hire people. Am I going to just do this a different way? Am I going to do a podcast and a radio show? Am I going to do a group? Am I going to do one-on-one? What that ultimately it's making an impact and getting a message out to the world. How that's done can change because time changes and society changes and what works changes. If you get so caught up in how you're doing it, you will never get to the what. The how will take care of itself, right? And as Jerry just said, because she's right, when she told me some of the things she's doing, I'm like, I don't know. You hit me right when I came in the door with stuff I got to do different. Are you kidding me? Right? But as I thought about it, knowing what Jerry has talked about in her vision, for me, it was like, you know what? Here's something I've learned based on what she's saying. Here's something I've learned because I'm connecting what she said versus what she does and how that comes across based on what she says she's going to do. So let me just put that out there. But you heard what she said. I had to go over there and think about that. Right? I had to go over there and evaluate that. Because, and what's important, that's why it's called the Rutledge perspective. What's important is, one, how you communicate. Because sometimes your communication, even your facial, because I don't have a poker face, even your facial expressions can show doubt or lack of support or are you crazy, right? All that kind of stuff. But you've got to be mindful. You got to be mindful of delivery. You also have to be really mindful of your intent because people feel your intent. People can absorb and feel your energy around something. And people know when your actions are intended to support their mission and their vision, and when they are meant to undermine, right? Like Maya Angelou said, people will reveal themselves to you early, believe them the first time, right? So while when it hit me the first time, I'm like, oh, I change. What do you mean change? Change? What? Wait. But, and I do mean but this time, not but, not and. I mean but I've also been here since 2020, showing up with masks, doing the right thing, moving right. So it's been so through exposure and experience, Jerry knows who I am, right? And so when you are taking action and you are having conversations with people, like this person that is doing the refresh for me, having that clarity conversation, she has demonstrated to me who she is, right? I've demonstrated to her who I am. So it was clear to me, we have got what is that movie? What we have here is a failure to communicate, right? There was no malintent. There was none of that ugliness there. What it was a misdirection of expectations on my part, which when it came back to me and they were missed, triggered other experiences, right? Response to other experiences that had nothing to do with this person. And so having those clear conversations around the actions we're taking is critical to success in achieving the outcome that we want. You got to be clear, right? And you've got to understand that if someone else doesn't see your vision, that's okay, because God didn't give it to them. He gave it to you. And so it's one thing to take in information and then decide what's useful and what's not. You got to know you in order to do that, because sometimes you won't take stuff in just because you don't like it or because it's ego. But if you're really not taking something in because it really is contrary, don't take it in. It's all good, right? Because again, the vision is yours. The vision is yours.
What can I say?
Yeah.
It goes back to what you said earlier, because you have to sit in it for a minute. I had to sit in it for a minute, because when I told you, I said, I know you got used to standing up, but then get used to sitting down.
Yeah.
Then I said, but again, it's going to be hard for me because I'm used to standing up over 30 years in radio. I've been used to standing up. So when I was in there, I started thinking about that. Now, if someone told you, you better get used to sitting down when you're used to standing up, right off the bat, you're not going to be overwhelmed by that. I mean, you're gonna be excited, sit down. No, you be looking like she was looking like, what we getting ready to do? So I had to think about that, and I said, because I don't want to sit down either. And so I said, let me think of another way. And I think that when you, one, trust the heart of the person.
Yes.
Two, also when you know, because I've had this vision for a long time.
Yes.
But it was something inside of me was trying to figure out how was that going to
yes.
work. So when you brought it to light, it was already something kind of in there like, I don't know. Maybe, but I know I just want to see something done.
Yes.
So I had to sit down for a minute and think about how would I feel.
Yeah.
If I was told you're going to be sitting down when I was used to stand, that would have sat well with me, right?
Well, and when you told me it's more powerful when you stand up, you can take my power.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Right.
You stand up, you stop. Well, yeah, you think about it. Now, right. Power ain't gonna be taking, you gonna
right.
But I did have to think about it.
Yes.
I don't know. So let me see another way and still get the feel that I'm looking for. So I think it all weighs in, and then you just said it. You can't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Right.
And you can't get caught up in your feelings.
Right.
Because if you get caught up in your feelings, you're going to do something. Bless God, I'm going to do it anyway, the way I want to do it, and blah, blah, blah. Now, if it's something I really believe that I was supposed to be doing,
absolutely.
I would do it. I'm not listening.
Right.
But if it's something that I already was kind of like, I did kind of wonder, should I be doing it like that?
Right.
Then you make those changes. So I think that's important to kind of talk it out a little bit.
Yes.
And then you got to talk it out with yourself a little bit.
Yes. You. What is that saying? Sometimes you got to move in quiet. That's what I love about Stacey Abrams. Sometimes you got to move in silence. But sometimes you do need to put things out in the universe, not only out in the universe, because I'm telling you, once I put this foundation out in the universe, I've had more conversation with people about this education foundation. So I know that that's real, right? And it's going to be real. If it doesn't happen, it won't be for lack of effort. But sometimes you need to have discussions with people that you trust, because their perspective it may not sway you, but it may adjust. Remember, the how is adjustable. The what doesn't change. The vision didn't change. Jerry's vision is not changing. The how she execute that may morph a little bit, or it may not. It may not. right? So when you think about your vision and where you're trying to go and the action you're taking, who are the people that are trusted in your village? Not the folks who are going to take your idea and do something with it. Not the folks that are going to poo-poo everything because at their heart, they're just jealous and don't want to see you succeed. You got to know who's really in your village. When you discuss stuff with them about action you're going to take and you are willing to listen to their response, how do you manage that, right? How do you then take that and say, no, that makes some sense. I'm still going, like Jerry said, I'm still going to do it, but maybe it looks a little bit different than what I thought. Because what I really want is XYZ. And I thought that XYZ looked like this, but XYZ might look like this, right? The how can take on many forms. The what is where you need to be solid, right? And you can change your mind. You can change your mind about your vision. Absolutely. You can change your mind about the vision because there are big visions. There are minor visions. There are visions along the way, right? The what is the stuff you need to be solid around so that the action you're taking is leading you on to the destination you say you want, right? That's important. But being flexible in that how, that's what's going to keep your blood pressure down. That's what's going to keep you in action. That's what's going to open you up to possibilities, right? That's what's really going to make the difference in getting to your vision. That action that you are taking that is flexible, that is forward moving, that is curious, that is open. That kind of action is powerful action. Because when you're taking action like that, you're able to get information back from that action, the consequences of the action you took, good and bad and indifferent, and then modify your next action or maintain the action that you're doing because it gave you exactly what you needed. And you're also able to make sure you're keeping an eye to, the external factors, the external and internal factors to say, how is this moving, right? Did I miss something? Or do I see something coming down the road that may inform what I do next time? And I need to think about that, right? It's all a matter of being really, really aligned with who you are and where you are in this moment, really aligned with that. And always going back to that, right? Y'all know me, faith, family, friends, and health, right? Those are my four. When something's not working, one of those things is off. And I spend some time figuring out what that is and fixing that. Because when that's good, then it doesn't matter whatever comes my way because I can manage through it, right? So getting really clear and aligned on who you are and where you are, making sure you're solid on that vision, right? Really clear about that vision that you have, and then moving into empowered action. Moving into empowered action. It is critical that you take action. A go without a plan is just a wish, y'all. So make sure you are taking action based on that incredible vision that you have. All right, y'all. We're actually going to call it a day just a teeny tiny few minutes early today because we have some things that are happening. And I just want to wish you guys empowered action. I want you to take some time the rest of this month. We got some good time the rest of this month to do that. Jenny and I are going to be doing Empowerment Village on Fireside this Thursday. Jenny, I still got to send you the invite so we can get on Empowered Action. So we're going to be talking about a bunch of stuff. It's Women's History Month. So it is a good conversation, open conversation. Join us. It's going to be midday on Thursday. So I'll be posting about that. And then at the end of the month, I have Dr. Nikki Lanier, and that's going to be a really powerful conversation as well. She is a racial equity expert, and it's just you need to join that one too. That's going to be at the end of the month on the 30th of March. So those are the two shows that are happening on Fireside this month. And then I believe Dr. Shayla is the podcast this week. So that's dropping tomorrow morning early. So but definitely tune in. If y'all will listen to the doctors, this is Dr. Shayla directly talking about her stuff. And so got lots of feedback about how powerful that was for people. So I did a podcast with her at the end of the year. So we're pushing that out here this week. So thank y'all so much. I'm pretty sure it's Dr. Shayla. Yeah. Thank y'all so much for tuning in around the world. Helsinki, man, I see you. It's just too cold where y'all are right now, but I see you. So I need to be working on my pop-up. You're on my list. Do my pop-up there. Thank you guys ever so for being a part of the Rutledge Perspective Radio Show. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I so appreciate it. I am forever grateful. And we will catch you next week on the Rutledge Perspective Radio Show Live. I appreciate it. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you guys. Tune in. Make sure you go and check like for me. I appreciate it. Thanks, Jill.